Hello, I'm Brent Gardner, and this is the NRA-ILA Grassroots News Minute for Friday, February 11th. Here with today's first story is correspondent Krista Cupp.
Thanks, Brent. To the dismay of the Brady campaign and other gun ban groups, President Barack Obama did not address gun control during his State of the Union address on January 25th. However, Newsweek has recently reported that in the next 2 weeks, the White House will unveil a new gun control effort, and that the White House confirms Obama will address the gun issue in a separate speech, likely early next month. Precisely what President Obama might have in mind is uncertain, but his post-election transition website clearly advocated reimposing the expired federal assault weapon ban. And to further set the stage, last week, Senator Dianne Feinstein of California sent a letter to President Obama urging him to have the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives review its interpretation of the federal law that provides for the importation of firearms, generally recognized as particularly suitable for or readily adaptable to sporting purposes. Feinstein claims that adopting a narrower interpretation of the law would help reduce violence in Mexico and the United States. But again, as the Supreme Court said in District of Columbia v. Heller, the Second Amendment protects the right to keep and bear arms that are used primarily for self-defense. This means that sporting purposes limitation imposed by the Gun Control Act of 1968 is constitutionally suspect, to put it mildly. What makes matters worse is that the BATFE repeatedly misinterprets the law to serve political ends, which is precisely what Feinstein has in mind. We will be sure to keep all of our members up to date on every development of these anti-gun schemes. And for more on magazine ban legislative efforts, let's go back to Brent.
Thanks, Krista. Representative Carolyn McCarthy of New York has recently introduced House Resolution 308, the Large Capacity Ammunition Feeding Device Act. Its companion bill, Senate Bill 32, has recently been introduced by Senator Frank Lautenberg of New Jersey. These bills would ban the manufacture and importation of new magazines that can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition and make it illegal for the tens of millions of Americans who already own these magazines to sell or otherwise transfer them, even through inheritance. Gun owners use the magazines for self-defense and target shooting and as key parts of collectible firearms, as well as for other lawful purposes. In 2003, 2005, and 2007, Representative McCarthy introduced bills that, like H.R. 308, would have banned magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. Those bills would also have banned all semi-automatic shotguns, commonly owned semi-automatic rifles that don't use detachable magazines of any size, and other commonly owned firearms. H.R. 308 would severely violate the fundamental individual right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. The Supreme Court has ruled that the Second Amendment protects the fundamental individual right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. Firearms designed to use magazines that hold more than 10 rounds are among the most commonly owned self-defense guns today. Obviously, despite the burdens it would put on honest Americans, Representative McCarthy's bill wouldn't stop a criminal from obtaining magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. Tens of millions of Americans own countless magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. Even Representative McCarthy admits that confiscation of existing magazines would be absolutely impossible. So please be sure to contact your U.S. representatives and urge him or her today to strongly oppose House Resolution 308 and Senate Bill 32 today. You can call your U.S. representatives at telephone number 202-225-3121 and your U.S. senators at 202-224-3121. And be sure to visit www.nraila.org regularly for up-to-date legislative alerts.